Angus Young, how you doing?
Good, Becko.
The Offspring.
How's it going, Becko?
Dave Grohl, how you going, mate?
Good, man.
Pete, it's been a long time coming.
Oh, Becko, hasn't it indeed?
We go inside the dressing room, speak to the biggest names in music,
Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones.
and crack open their esky.
This is exactly how I imagine you, by the way, sitting opposite me with a vodka and orange.
You're a discerning chap. This is The Rider.
Hey, it's Becko. Welcome back to The Rider. If you're tuning in for the very first time, well, welcome. Thanks for giving it a favourite. Some great episodes you might have missed out on, but you can go back and catch up now. Callum from 5 Seconds of Summer. Angus Young from AC/DC before they hit the country in the next few weeks. Also, Alice Cooper on The Rider. You can go back and check it out in your favourite app now, whether it's Apple or Spotify. Now, this week on The Rider, it's a special one. Ione Skye. Now, her new book is out called Say Everything. And Ione is married to Ben Lee. She has got a million stories. She was a 80s it girl. Grew up in the Hollywood Hills amongst some of the most interesting people. There's some great stories about life, love, and growing up in LA, and it's all in that book, Say Everything. And the thing is, too, she was around some great music. Like Mick Fleetwood and his family. She was hanging out with them. There's a brilliant Mick Jagger story in there as well. Very good friends with the Jagger family. The Zappas. All these people living around the same streets in Los Angeles. So she's around some incredible circles. Also there with the Red Hot Chili Peppers as they were making waves in Los Angeles. She dated Anthony Kiedis. Even married one of the Beastie Boys, so was around those circles for a long time. But her acting career is something to be proud of. I mean, so many great movies, including Cameron Crowe's Say Anything. Got a great story to come on how they managed to woo Keanu Reeves for that movie. Even Wayne's World and even Arrested Development more recently as well. I mean, this is a great book. You got to go and check it out. Say Everything. And here she is, Ione Skye. Thanks so much for joining me here on The Rider. And what an incredible achievement to actually sit down and write out a memoir. You got to be proud.
I know. I did not expect I would write a book. I don't know. I've always liked writing, but it's like the best kind of surprise. It was one of my favorite projects by far. It was just nice doing something I don't normally do as well, like getting away from acting. And I don't know. It was an amazing project.
Well, one thing I'll say is that you are a very creative person, and it kind of feels like a natural progression in a way. I mean, you grew up at the most insane time in Los Angeles. Like, the people you mentioned in the book who you just bumped into and knew and were friends with, and what a time to just grow up in this incredible city.
I know. Looking back, it feels more like incredible than when you're in it. It was still kind of exciting. I mean, I have to say my brother he was the sort of Forrest Gump of like being in the right place at the right time kind of person. He was, and I just had to follow him around and I ended up in all these places. But yeah, I know looking back being in LA, I mean, yeah, like Hollywood is the center of something, but still it seems kind of pretty extraordinary.
And that's the thing. I mean, in many ways, it is the center of the whole entertainment universe, but also it's kind of normal. Like when you're wandering around, you see, you might see the odd person just doing normal stuff and going to get groceries and whatever. And it's a sort of mixture of both because they live there.
I know. I always think of cities like Paris or New York, or there's these cities that have New York City, they have this like thing, but when you finally check it out, you're like, just people are just trying to make a buck or walking around with their life. And, sometimes you just you realize it's just a place. But yeah, there was a lot of exciting stuff going on nonetheless.
I've been lucky enough to sort of bump into you a couple of times over the years, believe it or not. And one time was 2 years ago over there in LA on holidays, and Ben said, hey, we're doing a party at our house, come along. And you've both been so good at embracing independent new artists and all that kind of thing. And I think it was Deep Faith was the artist playing in your lounge room.
Yes.
And like I walked into this, it was like a movie scene. Like
I know. That's so true. I know, it's true. It's like a movie from like Frantic or whatever that like it was truly like that. That was one of the best parties. Yeah, because I was, I parented, I have kids, but when they were little, I was very low key. I didn't have parties like that. And then there got to be a point where my youngest one was now like 14, 15, and Ben and I were like, we can have parties. And then we just had this string of parties, and I'm so glad because we didn't know we were going to move to Sydney, and it was just kind of like this great timing to just start having all these parties in LA. It was like we didn't realize, but it was just this good moment of having all these people together. But that Deep Faith party was too funny. It was so good. Just crazy having like a full production of a band with lights,
Laser
lasers.
shows.
Oh my God. And not even like it's like, it's a nice house, but big. But yeah, parties like that are just so great.
And it's just like you're booking away. Like, you would have had sort of little get-togethers and parties like that. But I'm sort of wandering around meeting all these interesting people. Like one guy was, I think it's Malik, he came over from New York and he was doing a podcast and he was awesome.
Yeah, Malik's incredible. Yeah, it was a great mix of young, old, all types, very creative, just like a truly great mix. And that's sort of, I would say, Ben Lee, my husband is really good at bringing all these people together. But even before Ben, I think I kind of did that myself. Like, I guess I was into having, lots of people around that were all like interesting like that.
Yeah. I want to talk about Ben in the moment because I think to be so supportive over the years, especially writing a book where it's literally warts and all, and it's talking about exes and it's talking about details and everything, and how supportive was he with that? Because you must have sat him down and gone, I got an idea and it's going to be really honest. Or
Yeah.
did you sort of just see where it was going to lead first, then tell him?
Well, because Ben and I were friends since I met him when he was 18, and we knew each other. We have a lot of similar circles. And then we sort of knew about each other's lives a bit anyway. And then we're just, we're very close. And so we've been together about 20 years. And so he knew about me already. So we were already like, he knew my whole life. He's like best friend, husband, romance. He's like a sort of like a therapist, but I thought he would be more conservative when I met him because he's very organized and he's from a more sort of structured family than mine, but he's very open-minded. And I don't know, he knew me already, so it wasn't like surprise. He was like, I don't think there was anything he didn't know. So that was good. And he's also very pro like just people being themselves and women being themselves. And so, it was like not too hard to negotiate. The parts that were about him, it was more like, he just wanted to kind of make sure I was actually putting in enough time and energy into his parts, because by the time I got to our part in the story, which was the end of my memoir, that's when the timing was like, we got to get this done. And I was rushing it. And that's the only time he was like, wait. I can't be like on your side for 2.5 years of you writing a book. And then my part gets like typed out and sent. Just take a little time. And so that was his only like getting involved.
In a way, I saw it the other way though, because the book, it was all about you growing up and becoming a woman, and you get married and divorced and all that kind of stuff. And I thought it was actually kind of appropriate when it came to the chapters on Ben, you almost left it to our imagination almost. You sort of almost kept that private. And I thought that was kind of appropriate in a way, that you didn't reveal too much. That's how I took it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's true.
It's a big thing
Yeah.
doing a memoir. I mean, you got to go and ask everyone. Do you mind if I put you in the book? I mean, how many permissions and legal documents do you have to do to get this off the ground?
Yeah, I mean, it's keeping the family close while you're writing it was really good. I didn't have that with everybody, but my mother and my brother, I sort of was like, it wasn't that they were reading every single edit, but I just kind of kept them involved in a way and filled them in so they were feeling involved and like taken care of. And then other people, I ran only a couple of things by a couple of people, and then in the end, the lawyers have to go through it. And it's different in the UK and Australia to America. America, you can say things about someone if it's publicly known. I don't know. There's different legal things, but not much was flagged. And a couple names were changed, but it was not as hairy as I thought it would be, actually.
Yeah.
Like going through all this famous people and whatnot. But definitely the New York Post likes to pull out certain magazines, I feel like they comb through news and they comb through things and they like to pull out things and make a meal out of it, but that's fine. I feel like I wasn't too hard on too many people.
Not really. I mean, in a way, it sort of felt like it was a bit of a love story to LA initially. Like I sort of read it, and I love LA as well. I go there a lot because I think it's a beautiful place and it's fun. And in a way, the years before you, I guess, left and went across country or whatever, it literally felt like that. It was a love story to this great city, and on top of the people you knew and the relationships and everything as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I was very much like my experience. So, and I don't know, I kind of, that's what I led with more than just like, I don't know, trying to take people down or whatever. Yeah, exactly. And I tend to like be obsessed with places and people. So it's a lot of me just like being like, oh my God, this person and this place. And I don't know, I'm very enamored by things. So I think that's what the tone was a lot of that and more just like, hurt, maybe like feeling sad, but it wasn't like super bitter, which was sort of on purpose.
Yeah.
Kind of the way I am anyway.
But also to remember all those details, I don't know how you do it. Obviously, I guess you got to ring friends as well and family and go, hey,
Yeah.
when I went to London, who did I meet and what did I do? I can imagine there's a lot of that.
Yeah. I mean, I sort of, you go with the things you do remember, but then, there's a lot of, I mean, it's sort of helpful when you are in movies and TV because then you can look at IMDb. Like, wait, when did I do that movie? Like,
Yeah.
really? Oh, wait, I did that and then I did that. Like the chronological thing, it is helpful if you're sort of, you can Google yourself. That is helpful. But yes, going back to Friends and but once you start imagining the memory, you kind of can get the essence of it and then fill in the room and fill it in. But yeah, there's a lot of kind of going over asking friends stuff. But it is true, once you start kind of jogging your memory, it sort of starts coming back.
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
always these core memories that are the ones that have stayed in your mind, and you kind of you connect the dots with those core memories.
And being I guess a teen star, more than a child star, because he's kind of skipped
Yeah.
that stage of going out and going to college and having fun and whatever. And I guess, with Anthony, you seem to sort of be the carer. Do you sort of find that put you back a little bit later on in your life with your personal life in a way? Because you just completely skip that stage of your life?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I got married young as a way to kind of protect. I thought it would be like this protection from the world, and it was kind of for a while. And I think because we both were in the public eye and we were both just like kind of, my first husband was in the Beastie Boys and he's kind of shy and sensitive, and so am I. And I think even if you're not in the public eye, I think sometimes people get married and for them, it's like you think it's going to be this kind of tower of safety. And it is in some ways, but doing it that young was a bit tricky. But yeah, I just feel like I rushed relaxing and being kind of not making these big decisions, like moving in with Anthony Kiedis. Doing all these movies for me actually was the kind of pressure that I liked. It was the working actually was stuff I kind of liked. But yeah, I skipped being kind of just young and free. And I think it came back at me because then I was married and I was like, wait a minute, I want to be like wild and young.
There's some of the stories in the book were so completely brutally honest, and at that time it was like, wow, this is a really kind of horny book,
Yeah, I know. It's so funny. I know, because it was like, there was this talk with the publishers, Simon and Schuster, it was like, should I have a sex scene? It's so like it's so cringe and like it, but it was sort of fun, like like to write a sex scene that's not. And also after Miranda July and stuff, and I have a friend who just put out a book and she has a lot of sex in her book, and it's like to make it not cringy was sort of a challenge. Like, can I write it without being like, ugh, like that word? I went over so many lines, like there was things that just it just so easy to make a bad sex scene. And so I kind of almost was amused by it. It was almost like amusing to me to write sex scenes in a way because it's sort of just, I don't know, it strikes me as kind of 80s or funny, like Daniel Steele or, like these sort of
Yes.
cheesy things. But I
Mills
think
and Boone. Yeah, yeah.
right, exactly. So there was something that tickled me in a way.
But I guess the thing is too. I mean, you described that first sex scene in your first movie. I think it was, with Keanu Reeves. As the other
Oh,
actor,
yeah.
and I guess you were pretty comfortable with it, and it's no different writing about it in your book, I guess.
I mean, I was very precocious, too precocious, and the themes, it's like when you get to writing a memoir, you're sort of like, what are the themes and what is my theme? And it's like, I don't know. And then it was clearly like, oh, I'm looking for love. Like that was one of them. Like I want validation. I want an intense relationship with somebody. And for me, it wasn't like, oh, I need to have sex. It was like, I need to have an intense relationship. And that seemed like a way to seal the deal and have this like big moment. I wanted a big moment with somebody. So the motivation was quite emotional rather than physical. But also, it's like I need to get this acute Keanu Reeves. Like it's also was validation, and it's like it's sort of like a notch on your belt. And women have the same thing, like men. It's sort of like if I can get that hot person, I think people think it's only something that men do, but I think women are sort of like, I'm good, I'm cool if I can do it. It's not only just about your body, which later when you're in a healthy relationship, you're like, it's about connecting and your body, it's like becomes healthier. But back then, the motivation is kind of different.
And the funny thing is, having known Ben for a fair while, on and off kind of thing, it totally makes sense. Like it almost felt like the only guy in your whole book who pumped the brakes a bit.
Yeah, because it was like he just was on to me. Like I've been rejected before for sure, but for this was more like I'm not into this like high. Like I was looking for a high, this like love addicty vibe of like, let's just have a wild, like, let's just go fly somewhere and just go crazy. He was just like, that's not my bag. I want to like be normal basically or whatever. There's nothing wrong with going off like that, but he was just like, I don't know. That's just not how he rolled. And that was really good for me because I was like, what do you mean? And then I was like, oh, wait. So that was cool.
Yeah, yeah. I got so much respect for both of you. And in fact, I wish I sat down with you because I think the first time I met you, I just popped around one day with a six-pack and he played me some songs and we hung out in the lounge room. I think it was just during COVID when you guys moved back over here. And
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
I would have sat down with you and just picked your brain if I knew half the shit now as I do now after reading the book. I mean, how's the move going in Sydney, by the way? So is this a permanent move? Are you sticking around or are you maybe going back?
Yeah. I mean, I love it. And our teenager's in high school and, she's loving it. She has a couple more years left. So, it's sort of based around her and we'll be going back and forth if, it's sort of amazing. Like I'm loving it. I miss LA. I miss that, but I'm also really digging it. And it's kind of about the kids. Like my older one's out of the house, but while my younger one is loving Sydney and school and we're liking it and Ben's working and I'm working and I don't know, it's gorgeous. So I'm really feel really lucky but yeah, when she's done with school, the world is open if, as long as we can get work. So we're not like making any 20-year plans, more like 2-year plans.
That's a great way to be. I mean, as long as you pay the bills, it's
I
fine.
know.
And the thing is
Yeah,
too,
if
I
you
mean,
can.
it's
Yeah.
so easy to fly back over there too, though. It's a really easy trip.
Yeah. Yeah, LA is not too far at all, so that's fine.
I know you've done sort of so many amazing movies, early on in your life. I mean, first of all, I didn't know about Wayne's World. I didn't know if that was you in Wayne's World until the book, and I'm like, hang on, really? And then I sort of literally went on Google and I went, oh shit, you're in
I
Wayne's
know.
World.
I felt the same way because I was just in one scene. I mean, with Rob Lowe, which is so amazing. But it's so funny because I almost forget they had a reunion and of Wayne's World, and they invited me to be on one of those Zoom reunions.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, why am I? Oh yeah, I'm in it. Like I'm in the opening scene, but it's also like it's funny. I sort of almost forget, but it's such a fun thing to be a part of. Like that's so awesome, iconic.
And I don't know what it was like, how they described it to you before you filmed it or agreed to do it, but it sounds like it was just sort of like such a movie no one really expected to be so big, but it was just a massive, massive movie.
I know. It's one of the like everyone loved Wayne's World on Saturday Night Live, and so it had this feeling like I think this could be good, but definitely I don't think people knew it would be so like it would have such a legs for so long.
And more recently as well, Arrested Development as well. That was a fun show to be on, I'm sure.
Oh my God, the best. I mean, I wish I had so much more to do on it. I mean, I did whatever 5 scenes. I don't even know on the total thing, but it was like what a joy, what an amazing crew to play with, like the actors. Like, and it was a lot of improv, a lot of play. Just, and that was a great time when I never got sitcoms. Like I would audition for comedy or sitcoms and I was never right. But there was that turning point with The Office and, like Parks and Rec and Arrested Development. And I'm sure like many other shows I'm not thinking of where all of a sudden the comedy was a little different and a lot of straight actors started doing a little bit of that kind of comedy. Anyway, that was a dream being on Arrested Development. It was such a fun set.
Is there anything that you came close to getting and you really regret that you just missed out, or is it one of those things where you don't?
Oh God, so many things, and I can't even remember them. That's the thing. When you don't get a part, there's so many times you're waiting and you don't get it, and you just for 2 days or 3 days or whatever it is, you're just like crushed. And then now I can't even remember. I can't even. I mean, once in a while like be listening to a TV show and I'm like, I recognize that dialogue. And I'm like, oh, that's the dialogue of the scene I auditioned for the thing. Like it's in my head. But the other side of it is I try to remember the times I get a job and then I think, oh, there's an actress who's sitting there devastated for 3 days or 2 days because I got this one. Like you only kind of think about the times where you didn't get it.
Yeah, yeah, and
Instead of the times you did, and you're like, look at me, I'm the one who got it. Amazing.
one of the great stories in the book was the Say Anything movie. John Cusack, and you got a role before he did. So you're describing in the book
Yeah.
how you're hanging out with Cameron Crowe, and he says you both agree that he's the one for the spot, and it was up to you to kind of talk him into it and twist his arm
Yeah.
and.
Yeah. No, I remember that like it was yesterday. Like I remember I was in the apartment that Anthony Kiedis and I had, and Anthony was on tour, and I was in this apartment. Like, what am I doing? Like, I didn't even want to live on my own. I was just like living with him. But in any case, so Cameron and John Cusack and I are in this apartment and in the kitchen, and John Cusack sitting on the floor, and I'm sort of up on the by the sink, sitting up there, and Cameron Crowe's sitting on like a chair, and it's like not very furnished, this apartment, and it just was odd setting. But Cameron was like, we have to court John Cusack. Like, if Cameron Crowe wasn't there, it would have been like inappropriate sounding, but it wasn't. It was just us like totally wooing him. And I just sort of mainly watched Cameron Crowe just like talk him into it, which was really cool.
I mean, who won the battle, if there was a battle back then, of doing the better teen movies? Was it John Hughes or was it Cameron Crowe?
Well, I mean, I think John Hughes did more
Yeah.
of them. Like, I feel like Say Anything was, I mean, there's Almost Famous, but it's like, I think just the volume of John Hughes,
Yeah.
like he had so many more of them and they were strong. Like all of them were so good. And Cameron Crowe's are all good, but Say Anything is like kind of his only. I mean, he wrote Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which is like, if you put Fast Times and Say Anything against John Hughes, then maybe you've got a battle with the teen ones. But Yeah, I mean, John Hughes had so many, so I think just in volume he might win. But yeah, Say Anything is, it was like not always on lists, or it was like weirdly overlooked for a minute, but then thankfully it kind of, it got pushed to the foreground again.
It's random how some of these movies they become bigger than what they ever were. Decades later. Over here, there's that cult movie, The Room. It was one of the worst movies of all time, but it became a thing because people would go and see it. They were singing along and playing along, and they'd throw spoons.
Oh, yes.
It's probably made a stack of money now because of that cult following, and
Yes.
like it's the same with movies like I guess
Yeah.
the Goonies and whatever.
Yeah. And Josie and the Pussycats. Like
Josie and the
they get
Pussycats.
these really like core fans, and yeah, you get these kind of like people who realize that they were really good. Yeah, totally.
Go back to you. So
Back to me. Yay.
the other part of your life was, I guess, your dad and your dad's Donovan, which many Aussies would know. Mellow Yellow, I think, was a song, and you didn't get to meet him until you were well into like around 17, and I think a lot of your life it seems like you were looking for that relationship, but also resenting him for not wanting to get to know you, and that probably bruised you for your whole life, I guess.
Yeah, I know. It's really hard to, it's so much easier for me to have dissected my relationship with my mother because she was around and I had so much material. But it's very interesting when you have a very absent parent because it's almost hard to sort of think, how did this affect me? Because you don't have like scenes in your mind. But clearly it affected me, just on a foundational level, I suppose. But I do think, yeah, having no father around is, yeah, I saw it also more with my brother, but it's easier to look from outside. And I would sort of feel sad for my brother because it almost was harder to see how it affected me. But clearly it did. And yeah, it's my story. But and as I get older, I'm like, wow, I look like him more and more. He's getting old and I'm getting old.
It didn't seem to affect your brother Donnie quite as much on the surface anyway. Like, of course, it would have affected him, but he seemed to cope with developing that relationship later on a bit better than you did, maybe.
I had more like pride. It was really interesting. My brother he's more outgoing. My brother is just like outgoing.
I guess there's a part as well with your mother. You sort of you were like, I can understand why your mum wasn't really keen to for you to have that relationship either. That's how I sort of read it anyway.
Yeah, she was happy, but also it was hard for her, naturally. It was very difficult for her, which I get. I really get. And yeah, it was always very weird. Like we would, anytime, even now, anytime I have an interaction, she's got mixed emotions, but she doesn't ruin anything, but it's interesting. Like I posted something about him and she said, "Oh, I saw you posted something about your father." It's a little bit like a mixed bag, but she's happy that we have a relationship with him, but it's still kind of hard for her. She still feels upset.
There is that ongoing theme of the famous fathers thing as well, I guess, in there. You got sort of one of your
Yeah.
friends was Mick Fleetwood's daughter, and you got Carice Jagger, and there's a couple of moments where you're talking about like going over and Mick's in town and you're hanging out and you're sort of trying to pump yourself up to be in front of Mick, and
Yeah.
it's not like meeting a normal dad. It's a million times different.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Mick Fleetwood's a little more like less kind of intimidating, but Mick Jagger is just like there's certain people, Steve Martin, people gag over, Mick Jagger. Paul McCartney is accessible, but always people are like, that's Paul McCartney, that's Paul McCartney. There's just certain people, iconic people where you even Madonna or certain people, they just have something where you just can't, it's hard to turn that off where you're just like, I'm sitting in front of this person. But yeah, I was always interested in kids of famous people because I guess I almost believe like I'm not one, but I was always like, I think I was curious to just sort of study them or something. It was just this total curiosity.
It must have been very therapeutic, I think, to get it all out.
Oh yeah. And also, yeah, very, very therapeutic. I mean, I knew a couple people who wrote memoirs, only a few, and the way they said, "Oh, it's a big experience." It was like one of those things when people are like having a kid, "Oh, it's a big experience." Before you have one, you're like, "Okay," like you don't know how, like certain things, milestones in life you know it's going to be big, but until you do it, you don't know how exactly. You could imagine, but for sure, it's not what I thought. I couldn't even imagine because I was like, I have no idea what this. They say you're gonna have a big experience, but it's still a big experience. Like even right now, talking about it, it's so great to talk. I found it very validating, and also the fact that it came out as a good book, which might not have happened because who knows, like it came out well. I feel like it was came out great, and I'm not everything does, so I'm really, it gave me so much confidence in some way.
With your relationship with Adam, I know you're with Ben now, and Ben's great,
Yeah.
and he's awesome. But it's funny how you're naturally cheering him on as well, and then the relationship on, like the scene where it's almost like it's in slow motion, where he comes home early and catches you in the pool, and it's and I feel the hurt when you refer to that later on,
Yeah.
and I totally get it.
I know. I feel like I was repeating. It's so psychological, but like my mom took a long time getting over my dad, and I took a long time getting over Adam. Like, I don't know. It's sort of interesting. It's still unfolding, but it was very therapeutic with my whole ex marriage. Like, that was such a huge experience. The post breakup. And quite frankly, I don't know that it was such a big experience for him. I know when we were together, we were very good together and happy, and he loved me. But I don't think he had such a difficult time, like getting kind of unwinding and unpacking the post divorce as I did. I doubt it. I mean, I feel like I was the slowest, processor of all times.
Well, it's also like when, and I've had this in my life too. Like when you're the one who sort of feels like you're the one who messed it up, or the one who called it
Yes.
off, or you have regrets
Yeah.
or whatever. I think it's always a little bit harder because you go, I really fucked
Yeah.
that up, and I could have done better.
Yeah. 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 I think that's true. I think that must be true. That's true.
But you wrapped it up sort of really well, I think. When you're describing sort of towards the end of the book, how putting this out has helped you cherish the good times and move on and all that kind of thing. And,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's true. It's funny. Some of the stuff in the book, I thought, oh, I just wrote that to make it sound like this. And like, that wasn't real. That was sort of just like manipulative. But the truth is, it's not. Like, it really, but it's like, I don't like a false beat. Like, I like being like actually really honest and like for real. And some of it, I'm like, that wasn't as big a deal. And then I'm like, no, it actually did do what I hoped. It was like this magic spell. You hope if you write a memoir, it's going to help you as one of the things it does. Like, it's going to help you process. And, you don't know if it will, but it actually, it actually did. And yeah.
I do have to ask you, because this is a music podcast. You've been to some
Yeah.
hell of amazing gigs over the years, and you've
Yeah,
known
yeah.
some great people. I mean, you've seen the Chili Peppers just sort of at their very early days, raw, playing small venues and then playing bigger venues. You've seen, I guess you saw the Rolling Stones or whatever. What is the biggest gig or your most memorable of all time? What is the one gig where you go, that was the one?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad now when people aren't around. Like, I saw In Excess two nights in a row in LA in the 80s with Moon Zappa. We both loved In Excess, and I'm so happy I saw In Excess, of course. And I mean, my first concert was OMD, Orchestra Maneuvers in the Dark.
Great,
And I was like,
yeah.
it was seated, and I like think I dozed off, and I was like, I shouldn't be sleeping. But there's a lot of like early small punk post LA, like all those shows left such an impression, and they still do. I see shows now, like there's nothing like a small venue and seeing a kind of like, doesn't have to be punk, but like that kind of thing. There's just like a particular energy, and all the girl bands and like I don't know, the small shows leave a certain impression. Um, of course, I saw Nirvana unplugged. I saw Nirvana once not unplugged. That was cool. Um, and sometimes it's the big shows. Like I saw Fleetwood Mac, and I've seen the Stones and Paul Simon, but like later, like I think like if you do, and which is amazing and beautiful, but it's like a retrospective, you know? And I think like my mom saw all these bands when they were like kids, you know, like they were all, that must have been unreal. But so I think when you see, yeah, people kind of starting out, there's something about that that's like kind of pretty amazing.
God, if I could rewind back and go and see Nirvana Unplugged, because it is the one that everyone just unpacks and goes, no one had any idea what was
I
around the corner
know.
and how big a moment that was going to be.
I know. It's so true. Yeah. I know. I was just like tagging along with my brother on a
Yeah.
date. And I just was like, okay, I'll go. It was like, I was sort of skeptical as you learn, you know, Nirvana was like, what is this? This is gonna be whack. And then I was just like, always, I'm always so codependent. So I'm always hoping the musicians are having a good time. So I was mainly like, is he enjoying this? He must hate this. Like, I was just like too preoccupied with like his experience, Kurt Cobain's experience. But looking back at the footage, he doesn't look as tortured as I thought he was.
Yeah, yeah. But you sort of definitely have the feeling of, I don't know if they really want to do this. But at the same time,
Yeah.
the songs they did unplugged, they definitely put some thought into it. It wasn't like they threw it together and did a
Yeah.
half-assed job. Like what they did and the songs they chose, it really made it what it was.
Yeah, it's so true. I know it's pretty fascinating when you realize some people take things seriously and are obviously like ambitious and care when
Yeah.
but when you think that they like yeah, it's really
I
interesting.
also think about the sound guy, because whenever I hear the bit of feedback in that a few of those songs, I always go, "There's one person right now in this world who is still thinking, oh, I just fucked it up a little bit." That
Oh my
moment.
God, yes.
But you and Ben are doing a lot of music stuff together, the weirder together shows and around sort of not just Sydney, but you know, around the place, and you're very good at boosting up and introducing sort of new artists, and I guess you got more of those shows coming up, and it's a great collaboration. You guys are so good together on stage, and
Yeah, we love it. I know it's really funny trying to do a collaboration with your, you know, significant other because it's sort of like, is this who, you know, I don't know, you feel like any kind of certain things you're just like, are people gonna care? Is this dynamic gonna translate? But our podcast is like very, people are digging it and yeah, and those shows are fun. We model it sort of after Largo in LA, which is like musicians and comedians and whatever. And yeah, it's worked out. I mean, it's for me and for Ben, I think he loves, it's fun as a couple to be able to work together sometimes. It's so fun.
yeah, yeah. Well, look, thanks so much for pouring your heart out into this book, and it's Say Everything. It's out now, and it must give you a bit of pleasure when you're going into some of those bigger bookstores and see it there. By the way,
Oh my God,
you know,
yes.
like I
It's so it's thrilling.
I saw a
Yeah,
whole
it's
wall of
thrilling.
it at Town Hall, I think it was, that big one across the road, and like it, I was like, good on you, that's fucking great.
Oh my God, that's so fun. Yeah, and when something like does get New York Times, you're just like, yay! Like it's something you can always have, you know, even if you never ever get anything else that's at all successful, you're like, I had that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yes, it came out great. Thanks for reading it.
Look forward to catching up with you guys around town. I know Ben's just sort of wrapping up his tour now, the big sort of anniversary tour.
Yeah, yeah, he's just got WA, is that how you say it? And
WA.
also so yeah, Fremantle and then Adelaide.
How are you
And
coping
that's
with the
it.
Aussieisms, by the way? Because a lot of things just don't make sense.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm like, I think I at this point they feel very natural to me, but it took, I'd say, a year and a half, and now I totally get it. I feel like I'll go back to the States and people, it'll just flow off my tongue.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I'm just off to having brekkie. Do you guys want to come? What's brekkie? What the
Oh yeah. I know. I say them all. I say them all.
Ione, it's so good to have a great detailed chat with you, and thanks for everything. And looking forward to catching up with you. I'm so glad you guys have moved back to Australia, and I hope it's a great, fun summer ahead. And looking forward to seeing you again soon.
Okay, thanks.
What a cool chat, Ione Skye. Her book is out. Say Everything. Pick it up for Christmas. Give it to a loved one. And of course, look out for their podcast now, Ben Lee and Ione Skye, on all podcast platforms. Weirder Together, some brilliant, funny takes. And check them out if they're on tour around your neck of the woods as well. This is The Rider with Becko. Make sure you give it a like on Instagram and also favourite right now on your favourite podcast app. The Rider with Becko. We'll catch you soon.